having you in our digital talks. We're going to talk about creativity in times of crisis. And just before we start talking about the main subject, and let's not focus into the negativity of the situation, but how we can turn challenges into opportunities through creativity. And let me make a small introduction about Mindscapes. Mindscapes is a, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Mindscapes is a professional training for creative works, and you focus into creativity and you support agencies. You have a lot of successes in your arsenal, in your assets. I would like to leave the words to you and tell us a few more details about it.
Yeah. So hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be hosted here by Dimitris and his team. And I miss you guys in Cyprus. I've been many times in Cyprus to run conferences and trainings. And we're so close. I'm based here in Tel Aviv, just across the Mediterranean. So we have to do it digitally. So it's an honor. So what we do in a nutshell, Mindscapes, we offer programs for people in the marketing and in the communication industries. So we work a lot with agencies, with creative agencies, digital agencies, but we work quite a lot also with clients from all over the world. Big clients like Google, like Baidu, like Coca-Cola, and smaller companies and brands. And in a nutshell, our speciality is how can we think more creatively? How can we use our thinking and imagination to channel it to areas where experience shows is very fertile with creative opportunities? So we have a set of tools that we have crafted over the years based on analyzing the most creative ideas behind the most creative innovations, the most creative marketing breakthrough, the most creative communication ideas, and seeing the recurring patterns, we transform them into active thinking tools. So this is what we do in daily life, in normal life, but today is not normal days. It's a big changes that happened as we speak. So there is a lot of need to think differently as well. And I think this is why we are here.
Yeah. Before we go into specifics, I would like to ask you, pre-pandemic era, how does creativity affect our daily life? What changes with creativity in our daily life?
Well, you ask it from a personal point of view, from the person.
I think it's better to answer from a person because we also have people who are not into the creative industries.
Well, I think if you're not creative, what you do is repeat yourself again and again every day, which we all do anyway. But if you're not creative, you're a robot. So what's the difference between a robot and a person? You come at 8 o'clock in the morning, take shower, take breakfast, go to work, do da. Creativity is needed anywhere. And the idea about creativity is that it adds juice to life. It allows you to see things from different perspective. Otherwise, you just repeat the same routine point of view. You look at your wife once, and you look at her 20 times, and you see the same thing. Whereas you can change the perspective and look at it every time from a fresh, new perspective and see different things. So life, I would say, are much more interesting and alive when you have a flexible mind, when you don't see things from the same perspective every time. What blocks us to be more creative is the way we use our minds. So
maybe it's just like breathing, as we were discussing before, for mindfulness and spirituality and meditation. Breathing is something we all do, right? But if you take a moment and think about your breathing, then maybe some things change. Maybe things
What?
get more interesting.
Yes, but I would just correct you a little bit.
Of
It's
course.
not that
Yes.
you think about your breathing, is that you actually experience it.
Hmm.
And this is the experience, the awareness of the experience which matter, not the thinking.
Hmm.
And we can have a very rich life without too much thinking. And I think, generally speaking, most of us suffer because we think too much and we are not in control of our thoughts. So we take them seriously and we believe them, and that's why we don't find peace of mind.
Yeah.
So the idea in meditation is to become observer of the thinking which is going anyway, without interfering and without trying to control it on the one hand, and without believing it on the other hand. And then you find a peace of mind which is outside from the thinking, without being concerned about the thinking. And then you can have a lot more clarity about your thinking and use it. Instead of it use you, you use your thinking. So it's shift of positions.
Talking about observing, how do you see people's changing behaviors in these times of turbulence during the pandemic?
Oof. Oh, a lot. It happens as we speak. Uh, I think we are all in a period of rapid changes. Changes happen all the time. It's not new to the crisis, but now the changes are more universal, and we all, more than ever before, we experience the same constraints that force us to change things together in a way. So think everybody is living from home in the last 40 days all over the world, and everybody is communicating through channels like this, through Zoom, through phones, through mobiles, through apps, much more than before. People have to adopt themselves as individuals, as brands, as marketeers. So there is so much change going on, and this is really we will not. It will take us time, and we need very curious mind to spot all those changes. And already we see a lot of creative ideas that steams now, how people interact, how people create dance together from home, how people sing together in a choir, how people invent together in Zoom where they're in different parts of the world live. So amazing changes are happening, and it's truly scary period for some, and very limiting and frightening, a lot of fear, but so much opportunities because everything changed so fast.
Hmm. It's indeed a very interesting times, very challenging ones, and as we see now, the biggest challenge is how we're going to kickstart the economy again. Even though I believe a lot of things are happening in here instead of around us, and I was thinking I would like to have your professional opinion. Are there still opportunities for brands and companies during these times of turbulence? What are your suggestions?
Well, of course, because it is part of the equation. Because things are changing, and things that worked perfectly well yesterday doesn't work so well today, or doesn't work at all. Every time when you close a door, uh, it depends on the perspective. From the perspective when you close my bedroom, from if you're inside, the door is closed, but on the other side, something else is open. So it's just how do you look at things. The cheese is not in the same place that it was yesterday, if you remember this beautiful story.
Of course.
How do you turn your mind to see new opportunities is totally up to you, because life is still going on. People are still hungry. People are still consuming. People need love. People need to express themselves. People need to feel connected. People need to find somebody that understands their purpose and help them to fulfill their purpose. And maybe during crisis, They have new purposes which are emerging. So life is going on. There is no stop to life. There is just a barrier to the way we perceive life until today. So it's totally a mind game. I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm not saying there will not be hardships. I'm not saying people will have much less budgets, if at all, and people, the world will struggle and is struggling. I'm not saying everything is perfect, uh, but I'm saying that it is up to us which attitude are we going to take. The automatic response is fear, to freeze, to constrict, to survive. And when we repeat this fear and the threat again and again, what happens is that we are in stress, and that the mechanism, the mental possibilities, the bodily, the physical, is shrinking, and we are immobile, and we cannot do much. And we see it, it's a cycle that people experience several times a day. You think of something frightening, oh, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden you are like this, and oh my God. On the other hand, you can channel your thinking into looking for opportunities, to looking for change, to looking for new places that you never thought before. And it depends on the way of looking, on how do we look at reality. So we will see new insights within our, at home. Look at your children, look at your pet, look at the people with whom you Zoom and with whom you correspond now. And you will find new insights, and they will lead you to identify new opportunities. And experience shows that during crises where most the markets suffered, there were those brands and individuals and companies and agencies who were able to identify new opportunities. And the crisis was the beginning of a huge development for huge brands. Look at Alibaba. Alibaba in China grew up from the SARS crisis, from the previous epidemic there. The same with gday.com, that shifted from offline shops to online shopping because of the SARS, and became the biggest shop retailer in whole Asia. So there are a lot of examples, and it's always a question to us to ask the right questions, to become curious, to look what is changing, not only what I lose, but what are the new things that are changing, what are the new needs, the new behaviors, the new beliefs and feelings that people have, and how can you connect them in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that after this challenge, people will get back to their old routines, or some changes from this existing state of mind will remain or be transferred into their new life?
Yeah. Well, first I must limit. I'm not a person who is very much interested in the future. I don't try to think how things will look. It's not my inclination. For sure, most of us or all of us will try to repeat, once the crisis is over, the health crisis and the epidemic thing will we will try as much as we can to return to normal. All of us. I would go and look for the same coffee I used to have once a month ago, and I hope it will be open. I'll be able to have my good coffee and so forth. But nevertheless, things will change. They are already changing, and we will be forced to change accordingly. Some people will have less money. Some people will lose their jobs. Some people will find that they have changed during the crisis. They don't want to repeat the same job. They want to do something else. They discovered something new about themselves. So the tendencies will be, as much as possible, to return to normal, but life is a constant change, and life will show us that we cannot repeat everything we used to do, and who knows how it will change. We talked before about Yuval Noah Harari frightening perspective of a world surveyed by governments and corporation, which is very scary and is already happening. Hopefully, there will be some positive change, and everybody is predicting according to his heart.
Mm-hmm. I remember when we had your workshop in Cyprus. It was one of the best experience I had in my advertising career, because it was at the beginning of my career, and it was what I needed to kickstart on thinking differently. And one of the holy grails of what you discussed was how you can activate creativity is insight. How do we search for insights today in 2020?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we don't have much time, but
Yes.
what, in a nutshell, we have developed very much since that time. The training, the insight tools. We have developed 6 different thinking tools that each one of us help us or forces us to look at reality from a different perspective, to have to adopt kind of a different lens. For example, if you put green lens, you see things differently than if you put on yellow lens, and so forth. So each lens that you put on your outlook will show you more clearly, or will help you to focus your mind on different aspects of reality, by which you can detect new observations, which will be the basis of new insights. So there are different insight tools. Each one of them suggests to us how to look differently at reality and to find new observations which can be the basis of a new insights.
So you're hosting a new creative thinking webinar tomorrow, and I guess this is something you will be discussing about insight.
Certainly,
And
certainly.
so, can you tell us a few things about this webinar? Who is it for? What will be the contents of it? What will be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
result of someone watching the webinar?
Okay, the result is the most difficult thing to predict, but I'll tell you what are my hopes and my aspirations. It will be about showing people ways how to use their thinking and use their imagination and use their minds to develop new ways of looking at reality, that instead of just showing how bad things are today, and things are pretty bad today, how they can spot opportunities. So it will be divided into 2 parts. One is how do you look different at reality and see new insights, see new opportunities, spot consumer behavior changes that can make a difference to your brand, not just to Google or just to so looking at reality in different perspective. This will be one part, and we will use amazing case studies of very successful cases from past recessions and from recent recessions, recent crisis. Already we see emerging a lot of creative ideas and creative innovations. That is just the beginning. But so what are the tools to look at reality differently and to find insight? And secondly, how can you create ideas? Creating ideas twofold. One is creating new product, new services. What kind of, based on those insights, what kind of new product and new services you can create? And secondly, what kind of and what kind of communication ideas you can have, talking about advertising, talking about social media, digital media, what kind of messaging you can create, and what kind of creative ways to deliver them that will make people pay attention, because it's new, it's something they never thought before. So the way you communicate is part of what you communicate. And who is it for? It is for anybody who is in marketing, small business, big business, anybody in communication, anybody in digital, anybody who is interested in creativity and how to avoid the normal thinking and to expand and to thrive.
Okay. And will it be any handouts or exercises during the workshop, or?
Aha. Yeah, yeah. There will be some challenges to participants. We will create some challenges, and we will see how people respond to those challenges. So in that way, it will be interactive. And there will be handouts. Those who will participate will receive the free access to our tools application, where they will be able to use the tools that will be presented during the webinar and have them on daily work. So this is what this is the giveaway, and the idea is that people will not only see something impressive and nice and how these and those companies did during past and pre-actual times, but how they can think different and apply those tools in their daily work for their brands, for their organization, for their teams.
Sounds very interesting, and I know your time is very tight as you have another session in a while. I would recommend to anyone who is in advertising or marketing to certainly watch this webinar, because I am sure it's gonna be insightful and full of value. I'm certainly going to watch it and attend. And we are also very happy to announce that Mr. Yonathan is offering a discount for any Cypriot user who is going to join tomorrow into the workshop. It's a 39% discount. You just use a coupon code CY. And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, and I'm looking forward if some of you will join us tomorrow. So to interact, to hear the way you solve problems, and to learn together tomorrow. So thank you very much, Dimitris, and wishing you all the best in Cyprus.
Wish you all the best. Stay safe, and always be positive and creative.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.